My name is Joshua, and I am the Tribune. As you know, it's my unshakable belief that anybody working with God in any way, in any facet, should be the highest level in whatever they're doing. They should be the undisputable leaders in whatever industry it is, whatever discipline you're in. It's just impossible that's not true, because our God does not do subpar work in anything. He doesn't do it by himself, and he doesn't do it even when he works with frail humans, because through their weakness, he even proves himself even more strong and more powerful. So anybody working with God and they say, I'm working with God and I'm a Christian, it's impossible that they should not be the highest leaders in the world. But one thing I do understand is that people right now can point to Christians and say, wait a minute, she's a Christian. How come her music's trash? And wait, he's a Christian, but how come his entertainment and his movies are totally the worst in the world? And in fact, if we just don't even think about those people because they're so low on the ladder, and you look on the highest part of the ladder on the world, where are the Christians? Where are the people who are doing the best work saying, I'm working for Jesus Christ and I'm working with him, and the reason why my stuff is so great is because I'm working with and for the God of the universe? Why can people actually point that out boldly in our world right now? Well, I'm going to answer this question before we get into the crux of this message. Because what I didn't understand is how serious God takes the principle that I just mentioned just a second ago about him doing the best work. God thinks like this. He thinks, I hate lukewarm stuff. He says, I'd rather you be hot or cold. And if you're lukewarm, I'm going to vomit you out of my mouth. So he actually is like this in all areas. We only think about this with things like righteousness and purity and are you going to heaven or hell. But we don't think of him like this when it comes to our vocations and our disciplines and our purpose. What this tells us about God is that he actually refuses to do any subpar work at all. He is so serious about this that he will look at his people and say, I can't find one person who is truly my friend. I can't find one person who really is seeking me only with their full heart and wants to do mighty purpose with me and knows that I'm the best. I can't find one person, so I'm not going to even let them even climb the ladder, because that would make my name disgraced. I'd rather have my children make them the worst ever in everything that the world's doing, and not have them be even in the ballpark of Satan's children, than to have them be near the top of the ladder and competing with filth. So God thinks like this. Either we are going to, if I'm going to work with somebody and I'm doing something, either we're doing the best ever or we're doing nothing. Either we're on the highest level, me and you, or I'm putting you on the lowest. Even if you're my child or you're a Christian, it doesn't make it. I'm doing it for my name. It's not even about you. I just refuse to put my name on anything subpar. I'd rather have nothing. This is how our God is. And first of all, we should be emulating this, because if we're going to work with him, we have to think like this. And second, we need to understand why there are no powerful Christians doing powerful things that we can look at and say, they are boldly working with God. They proclaim Jesus' name, and their work and their deeds are the best in the world. And nobody can argue this. This is why we don't see this. Now, it's important for me to explain this, because what you need to know is that we are moving forward from here. He is looking for people right now in all manners of discipline and all manners of vocation, anything you can imagine that can be done in the world. He is looking for people right now who will be his friends, but you have to understand that he's like this. He likes hot or cold. He rather lets Satan's children just do what they think is great work and just run everything for a while and sit back and wait for his generals to come up and say, okay, now that I have some generals, let's work now. But I'm patient. I will wait. This is how he is. But it's important to understand this because we have to talk about now the other side of the coin. Because if we don't talk about the other side of the coin, then you won't know how God really is when he's really working in this way on the highest level that he operates on with humans. This is so crazy because he either goes, I don't want anything done, or I want the best. So now we have to talk about what is the best. What does that actually look like? How it looks like is God actually has dynasties prepared. This is very important because he's God. He doesn't just use one person. He works on massive projects that are so big that one person cannot do it alone. But the beauty of this is that that person who's working with God on a massive project, on their sphere of whatever they're doing within that mission, that person can rely that if they're working with God, the same power that's working with them will work in the other person that's a part of the other discipline that's connected to their mission. And this goes to 100-fold, 1,000-fold, and whoever, 10,000-fold, 100,000-fold. If 1,000 people are working with God and they all have different disciplines, they are all operating within the same spirit of excellence and the same power. You don't have to worry about, oh, well, I'm just working with God and I know I'm working in so much power, but now I have to be concerned if they're going to do the same thing. No. If they're working with God really, that's not a problem. This is why our leaders in this coming era, we have to understand that when God places you over anything, you have to realize that you can trust him with the implementation of different disciplines underneath you. You don't have to micromanage and get frantic and have anxiety because you think that people can't do it like you because they don't understand. No, they have to understand because they have to be operating in the Holy Spirit. I have seen a child do better work than an adult that has the same discipline. I've seen an inexperienced person do way better than someone who's super experienced and thinks they have so much wisdom. This is super important to understand because God creates dynasties. Now, what's the difference between God's dynasties and man's dynasties? What a dynasty is it is a lineage. It's multiple. It's a lineage of people. And really, normally it's through bloodlines. But God operates in spirit lines. So the beauty of it is when humans try to create a dynasty, they actually are very concerned because they think, okay, I understand how to rule. I understand what to do, but is my child going to understand? Is he going to be a fool? Or is he going to be a total idiot? Or is he even going to care? Is he even going to have the same passions as me? This is how we have tyrants and despots and all these crazy people who have taken over thrones and done different things, and they don't match. They don't have the same agenda as their predecessors. But God's not like this because he's operating in the Spirit. He can take one person and operate and give them a certain part of the mission, and then take a separate person who's not even in their bloodline, their physical bloodline, but has the same spirit and continue it all throughout time. This is why the Bible is so powerful. This is why the Bible is so true, and this is why the Bible is so real, because it's his spirit is writing it. It's not the people. People can't do something like that. It's only God can do that. So, God asked me a question. He said, do you realize that your country has a giant problem? Many giant problems, but there's one big problem. And I was like, yeah, I believe that. He's like, no, yeah, but you don't really understand what I'm really saying. So just listen. Because remember, when God's speaking to us and when we're in prayer, we're listening. We have nothing. What are we going to say that he doesn't know? So he's giving us information. We're not giving him information. He already knows what we're thinking. He already knows what we're feeling. He knows everything. So we need to let him minister to us. So I'm just listening to him. He said, people in your country, and again, I'm talking about the United States of America, because that's what he's talking about, because that's where I live. He said, you guys separate church and state. Why? Let's think about this. Here he has me telling you guys how important it is to hear God at all steps. His purpose is the highest thing ever. Hear God to guide your family, your children, first yourself. Don't step out of his will. He knows the best. He is the highest good. He is just and righteous, fully wise, and has the ultimate love beyond anything we can ever imagine. So if this is true, then if I'm going to operate on this level of serious in my personal life, and even running a company or anything else, wouldn't it be kind of silly if we didn't take that principle and say the country needs to be run by God? The government should fall under God. Wait, God runs the universe. He has full control of the world. He has full control of everything. But no, the government, he shouldn't touch that. How crazy and idiot. It's so stupid. It's complete idiocy if someone doesn't agree with this. Period. So you can't separate these two things. Any country who does not come under God, he told me, is headed for absolute destruction. And there's nothing else to it. Absolute destruction. This is why we have so many problems in our country. So, what he said then was he said, okay, so since you understand that this is what I expect from your country, nothing else, the church really should be running the country. This is how it should be. Anything else is subpar and inexcusable. It just can't, it won't work. He said, now since I've given you the keys to the church, then wouldn't that mean that you also have the keys to the country? It's absolutely true. Because our God runs everything. The country is the smallest thing. Then he told me, he said, you have to understand something. If I put a leader in place to run your country that is unashamedly committed to me and boldly and relentlessly opposes anything that is not me and seeks me for every single thing, that person would make the best decisions of history. It's impossible not to. In fact, it would be impossible that if a person like this came into power in our country, it would totally demolish Democrats, Republican, All these parties would be totally removed. Because even Satan's children and even people who are Christians who don't agree will not be able to refute that this person will be making the best decisions possible and they will be making great decisions for everybody and boldly saying that they're seeking God. And they will not be listening to people that God says don't listen to them about this. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who thinks that this isn't true. Because this is how our God is. He would give complete instructions. And then after that term is done, the people wouldn't want this person to leave. But that's when that person would say, it's not me, it's the God I work for. And he can do this through 100 people that seek him properly. And then the next thing would be, they would be addicted to God's leadership over our country. Even people who don't believe in him would see just the basic decision making would be unbelievable. How can I can tell you this is true? Okay, God says that he brings rain on the just and the unjust. This beautiful world we live in, well, there are non-Christians who live here, right? They can enjoy the ocean. They can enjoy the snow. They can go out and enjoy nature. They can eat great food. They can enjoy everything that God's put in place. But they just can't understand that they need to get to know him. And they can't understand that they need to really appreciate his character the most, because that's the greatest gift of all. But everything else they can experience. So if a leader was in place that was making godly decisions and checking in with God for everything, everybody would be blessed. And everybody would want to get to know him. And this is his agenda. This is what he's going to be doing. Now, someone might ask, are you saying you're going to be president? Absolutely. Definitely. But I'm not boasting about that, because guess what? That's actually the lowest thing that God's asking me to do. He knows I don't even want that. But I'm doing it as a service to God, as a friend, because I'm his friend. If he asks me to do something, say, hey, I need you to do this for me, I'm doing it. It doesn't matter if I don't want to. It doesn't matter if I don't like it. It doesn't matter if I never planned for it when I was younger. That doesn't matter. What matters is that we're God's friends and we're obedient. And this is just a springboard. This is, again, that's the lowest thing he's asking me to do. I'm not even really excited about that. But yes, absolutely. I am definitely going to be one of the presidents of the United States of America, and it will be led through prophetic wisdom. Now, the reason why I'm telling you this is because you are going to be a part of it too. I'm charged to build up leaders. And the same spirit that's in me, God's going to put in other people too. Because he has things to build. He has things to do. And it's not going to end with me. So these principles are for you to feed on and eat, so that you can get prepared for your part. Because I'm talking to other future presidents too. See, presidency is, it's the reason why it's such a, it's not a goal. But the world has turned this into a goal. It's a common goal. So many people want to be president. No. That's a cliche. This is a responsibility to God that must be done to save souls and to build and to fix things that need to be fixed and that he can only fix. So he needs his friends in office. And away with all these Christians and pastors who like bragging about how they slipped in some advice to a president, and that president still didn't even really do anything powerful, didn't fix anything, and actually made things worse. And you see this all the time. And they're satanic, and they really didn't listen. But we're so proud to be in the room. Oh, please! It's just like blacks black Americans who will just. I'm so glad that they allowed one black person in the room. I'm so glad in this company that they at least, they just let us be represented by two people. That's an inferior attitude that I refuse to have as a black person, and even higher, I refuse to have as a Christian. So these pastors who say like they're so proud that they've just been able to just slip in a word to the President of the United States. I've advised this person and this person. No, you need to be actually running the thing. This is the difference between the last era and this new era that's coming. No, I'm not satisfied with that. God's not either. We need to be running things and be making the decisions. This is the next level of thinking. So this is the other side of the coin. God actually will, if you align with him and get to know him as a friend, you understand that he's building a dynasty in many different areas. This is not even the only one. So don't think that this is the big goal of this channel is to talk about president. No. That's actually not even the biggest goal. That's the smallest goal. Okay? That's the smallest goal. But we have to understand that God is going to create a dynasty in the presidency. He's going to create it in all areas. And if you understand this, then you will want to be a part of the dynasties that he's creating, and you will be wanting to get to know him so you can operate in your purpose, and he could show you which part of the dynasty you're going to fit into so that you can be ultimately effective in your purpose and in God's plan and mission for your life. This is the other side of the coin. God either says, well, I don't have any friends. You guys are not my friends, so I'm going to put you purposely on the worst. You're going to be on the worst level. Because I don't do things half-baked. I don't like lukewarm. I'd rather vomit you out of my mouth than for you and you be on the lowest than to do half-baked work, and I don't compete with Satan's children. On the other side, if you get to know me and you will be my friend, you're going to be part of the highest dynasty you've ever heard of. This is who our God is, and we should be honored to work with him because it's not the other way around. It's his pleasure to work with us, but we should be honored to be a part of his agenda. This is what it means when I say that God is creating a presidential dynasty for the United States of America. Hail Jehovah.